I'm Tina,
And I'm Beth.
and we're
Team Awesome.
And this is our ethanol project.
Woo!
Okay, our overview, the question was asked, ultimately, is it cheaper to drive using super unleaded gas or unleaded gas?
Super unleaded gas has ethanol put into it, making it in South Dakota cheaper than unleaded gas.
And in Salem, the usual amount of ethanol in it is 10% for super unleaded. And here are the gas prices we used. We used $3.65 a gallon for unleaded, and super unleaded we use $3.55 a gallon because it's usually a little bit cheaper than unleaded.
Our first car, which had 2 unleaded fill-ups, we figured out the cost per mile being around 9 cents a mile. Now, the super unleaded gas, we used 2 fill-ups again, but even though the gas is cheaper at the pump, it actually costs more to drive at 10 cents a mile.
And this same basically applied for car B and the rest of the cars. Our 2 unleaded fill-ups cost per mile averages was 12 cents and 13 cents a mile. And then our 2 super unleaded fill-ups averages were 15 cents a mile and then down to 12 cents a mile.
With car C, I followed a similar pattern, with the 2 unleaded fill-ups being 15 and 14 cents a mile, and then the 2 super unleaded fill-ups being around 15 cents a mile. This ultimately was the car that we ended up picking because of the fact that there wasn't very much of a discrepancy between the unleaded fill-ups and the super unleaded fill-ups.
Okay, car D. 2 unleaded fill-ups averaged out to 50 cents a mile and then to 30 cents a mile. Then our 2 super unleaded fill-ups was 44 cents a mile and 39 cents a mile.
And then with car E, it had 11 cents a mile for 2 unleaded fill-ups and then 13 cents a mile for 3 unleaded fill-ups.
Okay, unleaded gas. Some pros are it usually costs less per mile when you're traveling, even though it does cost more at the pump. Some cars are specifically engineered to run on unleaded, that their motors were created and it's better efficiency. Some cons, it does cost more at the pump. It doesn't contain any additives to clean your engine and other sorts of helpful things. Usefulness depends on the type of car. So the newer cars are made for it. And then there's a higher concentration of petroleum.
Some of the pros and cons of super unleaded gas. Pros is it contains more ethanol, which is beneficial to South Dakota in particular, and it is cheaper at the pump, but in the Midwest. Actually, on something cool was that on the east and west coast, where ethanol is not produced, it's actually more expensive than unleaded gas. Some of the cons is that it's a higher octane gas, and it can cause a knocking in the engine, which has to do with ignition and sparking, and that's known to cause damage in a car. It also burns quicker, so more fill-ups are needed. So it seems cheaper, but it can actually be more expensive to drive per mile.
Okay, my opinion is, with my lifestyle, it's better for me to utilize the super unleaded gas. But with that, in the summer, I drive a lot of miles. I work at the Corn Palace in Mitchell, so I go a lot of miles. So I think this summer I may try the unleaded version to see if I actually get better gas mileage and have it be cheaper overall. And if we use super unleaded, it'll help the local economy just due to the fact that we are a farming community, and ethanol, of course, is subsidized corn, or comes from subsidized corn. And it'll have less dependency on foreign oil because we're using less petroleum in the super unleaded.
My opinion, newsflash, I don't pay for my own gas, so the price of it, it's really hard for me to be able to say I'm super passionate about it because I don't actually pay for my own gas as of now. So whenever I go to fill up and I have my mom's credit card, I just get the super unleaded because it's cheaper. However, I have been having car problems lately, which could be contributed to my gas, so I'm trying unleaded. We'll see how it goes. It's good for the environment, and when I think about money, the super unleaded is cheaper than the unleaded, but when you think about the benefits, the pros and cons, unleaded seems to have it over super unleaded. Also, you have, again, less dependence on fossil fuels. When you think about the future and you think about the environment, you want to do something that's going to be healthy for the environment. All right, just a few facts about ethanol. Actually, recently, ethanol lost a 46-cent government subsidy, but it's not too bad. The industry isn't taking it too harshly because of the fact that because oil is such a competitive market, people are really into ethanol. The environmental impact of it, it's not completely known yet. Some people are saying that it's dirty, that it causes runoff from all of the pesticides and whatnot that goes into the field, that is polluting all the water sources, and it's also deforestation. People are saying that cutting down all these trees to grow all this corn is bad because you're taking things out of a natural environment and putting something in there that can grow there, but it's not as good. Also, while the opposition is saying that it's cleaner than fossil fuel and that we're utilizing it better, But it's also said to be behind the increasing food prices because corn that could be used for food is now instead being used for ethanol. So I thought that was interesting. And that is our overview. Thanks for listening.
El cine. Yeah, let's